Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and it is my pleasure and honor to welcome you to A Woman's Prerogative. Welcome to all of our loyal viewers who helped us cross over 101,000 subscribers just on our one YouTube channel, USA Global TV and Radio. And of course, we broadcast on so many platforms. Thank you for your loyalty. Thank you for subscribing, for following, and welcome to all of our friends at E360 TV. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to have you streaming our show as well. Today, I am joined, as always, by our full-time panelist, who is actually a dear friend of mine. If you haven't heard me say it before, you're going to hear me say it again and again. She is the coach to go to. She is a transformation wizard. She is a leadership coach, and she actually helped me come up with my plan to retire from my corporate career. And look where we are today with a global audience and world-class education. Let's welcome MARISKA, who's joining us all the way from Australia. Welcome. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hello, and thank you for the lovely introduction and having me back.
You are most welcome. I always like to point out what's obvious to us, but not to so many others. We are here in the US. We just entered spring, and you are just entering fall. And today is Monday for us here in the US. And for you, it is already tomorrow. It's already April 1st, April Fool's Day. So have you played any jokes on anyone?
No, but my cat has played a few on me, and I don't even think that he knows that it's April Fool's.
The cat has a mind of its own. What is your cat's name?
The one's called Odin, and the other one is called Shadow Black. Yes, there's a number 2, so that they can keep each other company every now and again.
That makes perfect sense. I had 3 dogs at one point. I don't know what the third dog's purpose was, but they all kept each other company. And then sadly, they all died almost around the same time. It's crazy, but let's keep it upbeat, because our topic today you came up with, which I think is fantastic. And the topic is Superwoman. Are we really having it all? So before we dive into that, because you and I were talking backstage, there's a number of ways of looking at Superwoman. Is it representing the collective? Are we labeling ourselves as a Superwoman? You are definitely a Superwoman. Tell our audience how you can help them and who's a good client for you.
So if you are within the leadership space, either moving into leadership or thinking about moving into leadership, or alternatively already within that leadership space and moving up within your career, that is typically the people that I work with. And I really enjoy working with leaders, because there's so many things that we need to take into consideration when we are within that space. It is one of those areas where we are always being looked at, whether we think about it or not. So yes, I might be the one on the screen and you are the one being looked at for advice, for guidance, for ways of behavior, for what is good, what is not so good. And we don't always remember that that is also something that happens. So if you are within that leadership space and you want to up your game, and that, of course, of your team, you can be more than welcome to reach out, and we can see how me and you can partner to make sure that you are the best leader you can be.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mariska. And for our friends who are actually listening on an audio only platform, we have your contact details up here. And I actually want to ask you about, I don't think I've ever asked you this question in all these years, but your website is journey with the number 2, discover.com. How did you come up with Journey to Discover as your website?
Well, for me, when I came up with the website name itself, I wondered about what is it that we are actually doing. And we are journeying to discover the ways that we want to be as human beings, that we want to be as leaders. And the 2 is just a little bit easier than saying TO. So it became the number 2 instead of TO. But the journey it's a journey, and it's a continuous journey that we go through. We are continuously growing. The day that we stop growing, we most probably at the very end of our life. And then the journey continues. It never actually stops. So, and it's a continuous discovering as well. So that's what I thought, well, it makes sense. And nobody else has taken it yet. So
that makes a big difference too. It has to be available. So thank you for sharing that. And, I think when we talk about journeying and discovering, it aligns nicely with our topic of Superwoman, because to your point, we are always curious, at least you and I are, our team members are, many of our guests are, we're curious and interested in learning more. I dare say I do know of people who are not that interested in continuous learning. And there's no judgment, but they live their life in a different way. And I know some that feel like they've used their mind so much, they just want to give it a break and just retire and relax. So kudos to them. But as the title suggests, Superwoman, 2 words put together, meaning that you are almost emboldened, empowered to be able to do things that I'm using air quotes, the average woman or the average person might not be. But yet, if we looked at the human collective of women all together as super women, we might have a different perspective. So where are you on the topic of just the title Superwoman, since you came up with it? What was going through your mind at the time?
Well, it's actually something that I've been thinking about, not necessarily being a superwoman per se, but how is it that I define success? What does it look like for me? What is wealth for me? What is all these different things that we get in life? What does that actually entail for me? How does legacy look like? How does having a fulfilling career look like? All of these different elements make up, well, pieces of ourselves, because we attach our identity to things, literally. So I've been wondering about this whole topic just for myself, and I thought I came across a piece that they described women wanting to literally have it all. And I thought, okay, yes, we sometimes do take this out of proportion. It becomes too big, and we find ourselves in places where potentially our energy is not the best spent. And we're not investing in ourselves in the right way. We're not investing our time in the way that actually serves us. So that's how I came up with the topic. And I thought, well, this might be a very interesting topic for us to discuss. And Dr. JACALYN, I know that I'm always in awe of all the things that you get up to. And I really thought this would be a great topic for the both of us to also delve into and see what's underneath all of this, and potentially as a collective.
Absolutely.
What's happening for us.
Yes, no, I definitely agree with you. And I'm glad we're talking about this, because just the question that we have afterwards, are we really having it all? And I think what happens is, in order to have it all, again, air quotes, that means giving something up. And when we give something up, because we can't be excelling at every single thing, there has to be some downtime, and there has to be something where there's continuous learning. Sometimes we might sacrifice relationships, or we might sacrifice our health, or we might sacrifice opportunities that might be really good for us because we are really committed to doing something else. So for example, if we're committed to doing coaching and we spend most of our time doing coaching, we might not be doing speaking. We might not be traveling around giving keynotes or doing TEDx's. But if we're a full-time speaker, we might not be writing. So there's all different ways that you can look at it. And I think it comes down to, how do we define having it all? And to me, I think that means being at peace. So not necessarily having octopus tentacles all over the place, but whatever it is that we're doing, we have peace of mind that we're doing the best that we can at each and every stage of our life. What are your thoughts on what I just shared?
I love that being at peace sentiment, and not the octopus arms thing. Because I do think that a lot of the people that I speak to, when they think about being super, whether this be woman, man, person, doesn't really matter, it is about the octopus arms. Like, okay, do you want to be an octopus? And I don't know. Potentially for some people, it is what they need. I know that everybody's brains doesn't work the same either. So for some people, they need more stimulation and more things to be doing and more balls in the air at any one time than others. And that's fine. And I also don't want to evaluate my superness to anyone else's superness, because it's not going to look the same. I think for me, if I think about all the superheroes in all the comic strips that we have, right? So let's say we have Superman, and he has a whole bunch of different things that he can do. He can shoot lasers out of his eyes, and he can fly, and he's very strong. He also has kryptonite, which then renders him human. I almost said useless. It's not useless, just human. And then we have Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man technically doesn't have a kryptonite, and he's been bitten by a spider. So now he has all these other abilities that came out. And they're not the same. They don't do the same things. They might have the same intention, in the sense of, we want to make the world a better place. But they don't go about doing it the same way. And that's what I think about when I think about that super element. Yes, I have some form of super element for myself. I have things that I am really good at. And it might not be the same. I know for a fact it's not the same than all the wonderful things that Dr. JACALYN is really good at. Do I want to be really good at them? Most probably not. I don't know whether I would enjoy it as much. So that's sort of what I think about when I think about this super element. And having it all, yes, definitely the arms. I think the being at peace, being our real self, our full authentic self, to me is part of the being at peace. What's your thoughts about that, Dr. JACALYN?
I'd have to agree with you. Absolutely. I think one thing I've learned in my older age, at 62 now, is I'm going to give an example when it comes to fitness, because, I love to work out, and I typically do 2 or 3 hours of working out a day. So in my first workout, which is something called solid core, I really give everything I have to give, because this particular workout has helped me through some of the darkest times of my life. And I just feel that it's empowered me to make me stronger physically and mentally. And then when I leave and I go to the gym and I take a weightlifting class or whatever class span, whatever I'm taking, I'm not giving everything that I had to give in the first class because I already gave it. And whereas when I was younger, I might push myself so much. Like, for example, instead of today, I was using 10-pound weights and 12-pound weights in this exercise class with weights. And I saw a lot of young women using 15 pounds at 18 pounds. Well, at 62, I have nothing to prove. So I just left it all on the reformer at Solid Core. But in my previous years when I was younger, I would have taken the heavier weights. But now I'm not Superwoman when it comes to having endless amounts of strength, because I am an older woman and I have to make sure that I keep the amount of strength that I have throughout the day and throughout the night, because I don't have the ability to get injured and recover like I used to be able to. You know, you would bounce back much quicker, and you being younger, you would bounce back quicker than I would. And somebody who's older than I am, I might bounce back quicker than them, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of been a key learning for me, that I don't have to be Superwoman in every workout that I do.
I love that. I love that. And I also want to mention this. I don't have to prove anything anymore. I think with age, that is a piece of wisdom that comes in that we could use a lot sooner in life in general. The only person that you ever need to prove anything to is yourself. The rest of the human beings is up to them what they want to prove to themselves. But it's interesting how we compare ourselves a lot when we are younger, and somebody would be doing something and we feel this urge of competition. It's like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that better, faster, whatever the thing might be. And that goes back to the superhuman thing again, right? Where we then as a collective start to have these weird ideas about things. So Dr. JACALYN, I'm just wondering that now, is where in life have you seen people do this, sort of become their own worst enemy, and the collective is causing even more of that?
That's such a great question. And the first thing that pops into my mind is plastic surgery. And so, you know, I've always been a big advocate for Botox and fillers, and I stopped getting them about a year ago because I started to see some of the people in Hollywood, their faces are just disfigured. They don't look healthy. And one woman, I'm not going to mention her name, it's really tragic. Apparently there's parasites in her face, and I just can't imagine what it would be like. But there's been so much pressure over the years, not even just for women, but also for men, that we need to look a certain age and we need to stay youthful. Like you and I are on TV. So, you know, maybe maybe I have a little more makeup than I normally would. It's because of the fact that we're using this medium. And I feel like now there's kind of an awareness that all of the plastic surgery and the fillers, that there's a day of reckoning where it's kind of like, oh my gosh, now you look freakish and this is not a good look for whatever the work is that you have. So that's one thing that comes to mind. What are your thoughts about cosmetic surgery? I don't know how things are in Australia, but obviously there's some huge stars who are Australian who are, you know, doing things in the States and the UK. I mean, I can think of a few of them right now, and I'm sure that they have thought of or even had gotten fillers or plastic surgery.
I think that is such a good point, especially around our looks. It's something that most of us have is we grow older, right? And time passes and we don't stay the same, thank goodness. And that's one of the things I think at a very young age for me, I always thought about, well, I'm not going to look the same. Yes, would I love to be youthful and beautiful for the rest of my life? Yeah, why not? And do I want to do it at any cost so I look like a mini monster at the end of my life? Most probably not. So it's really around my inner beauty is where I landed for myself. And I decided that that's the place where I want to work on that. It's also something nobody can take away. And guess what? It doesn't cost me an arm and a leg either. So that's really good. Hey, don't get me wrong. There's a couple of hard lessons that you still need to learn in life. And it doesn't necessarily have any financial impact. Sometimes it does. But most of the time, the lessons are of a different type of payment. So that was my main incentive towards youthfulness, because my inside, I can be as young and old or both, as I want to be. Whereas the external pieces, of course, doing the things that would make sure that I am in a good, healthy space. And when I think about being healthy, it's really being able to be mobile, being strong enough to do the things that I want to be doing. Those sort of things for me is important as I'm growing older, because my dad always used to say that growing old is not for sissies, and it's not something that's easy to do. So make sure that you take care of yourself. And Dr. JACALYN, as you mentioned, with the plastic surgery or fillers or whatever it is that we apply to ourselves, we have a tendency to not necessarily know how that would turn out 50 years down the line, and sort of go, okay, you looked brilliant in your 20s, potentially in your 30s and 40s still. And then it just went downhill from there because nobody could do anything anymore. There was nothing left.
Right. It's so true. And there's so much pressure. It's a financial pressure, and then also keeping up with the Joneses, and so looks so young, and so had this done and had that done. When you sort of release that and say, I'm not going to get caught up in that, it really is liberating. So, and it's also financially beneficial. You're not spending all of that money. I know with my mother, she played competitive tennis until she was 80. She passed away at 84, but it was really detrimental for her when she realized that she couldn't play at the caliber of tennis that she was used to playing. And she was playing against 40-year-olds, believe it or not. And when that awareness came that, okay, at 80 and a half or whatever the age is, that she wasn't able to play like she used to play, I think it was devastating, because it was a huge part of her life. Like, that was the Superwoman part of her life. And that's what I want to discuss now. Is there some area, Mariska, that you feel is the Superwoman part of your life? Maybe it's being a wife, or maybe it's having your own business. I mean, there's so many different things that it could be, but I know for me, I think having a global community of people that I didn't even know, I had no idea who they were, and we're all helping each other and reaching out. I feel like that's my Superwoman legacy or moment. So what about you? Because we've talked about legacies before. What is your Superwoman legacy?
Oh, I love that question. That is such an interesting question. That's something that I haven't really thought about before. So I would say, in all likelihood, the people I work with is part of that superhuman legacy, per se, for me. I've been thinking about legacy a bit lately as well, and just what does it actually mean? What is it? The things that we leave for others? Is it the businesses that we build? Is it the family we have? What is that thing? What is legacy? And I think what I came to so far is that legacy is really that way of being remembered into the future in some way, shape, or form. And for me, the way that I want to be remembered is the impact that I have in other people's lives. with or without them realizing the impact. So I don't necessarily want to have the acclaim to say, oh yeah, Mariska helped me with blah, blah, blah. If it is the case, wonderful. And if I by accident said something that might resonate with you, and at that point in time it was significant for you in your life, and it made you decide to do something else or change your approach that you have, or change the way that you've been thinking about something because of our interaction, because of what we shared in life together, that to me is legacy enough. I'm quite happy with that. And I think that would be, so it's really, and it goes back again to that inner beingness. The more I can be my whole unapologetic self on this planet with the people around me, with you guys on this platform, you seeing me just the way I am, warts and all, so to speak, that to me also helps to give it, it would have given me permission at a lot younger age to be me fully. And I think we as a society need that. We need to have the permission to just be ourselves, because you are literally the only you on this planet. I know we have 9 billion or something people on this planet, and yet you are still the only you. Yes, we share a whole bunch of human experiences that's similar. They're not the same, but they're similar enough so that we can say, oh, I know how that feels, or oh, I have been through something similar to that. So I sort of understand the experience. And yet it's not exactly the same experience. So yours that you've had, it's unique to you. And all the strengths that you bring is unique to you. And being able to have those conversations with all these wonderful people in my life, in places maybe that I don't even know of. I had a friend reach out the other day, Dr. JACALYN, and she said, I saw you on USA Global TV and radio. And she's all the way in a different place. I said, you did? And she said, yes, it was wonderful. I was so excited because I didn't know that they actually watched the show there.
I'm excited for you. That's excellent. I love it. It's fantastic. You know, I think you really touched on something else that I'd like to talk about in terms of a Superwoman moment. We were talking, you were saying about getting older and realizing what that means and being able to say no. I think a Superwoman moment is being able to embrace what you can do and what you're not going to do. Because there's a lot of things we can do that if someone said, hey, would you do this? Would you do that? And being able to set boundaries and know your own limits, to me, is also a Superwoman moment, because people don't like to hear no. And as you know, I teach classes about setting boundaries and asking permission. And one of the things that I teach people is the ability to say, I don't have time to hear what you have to say right now, because I'm literally not mentally, emotionally available. And people don't like to hear that no. But to me, that's a Superwoman moment when you can stand in your own boundary and say, I know what I can do, I know what I can give, and I can't give it right now.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It is a way for us to be able to be us fully and go, yeah, this is something that I can do, and this is something that I cannot do at this moment. And if it is important enough and we can frame time around whatever it is that the person needs, wonderful, by all means, then we do that. And unfortunately, it's not always possible. So Dr. JACALYN, I'm also wondering, what's the sort of other superwoman, super person, elements or things that you've noticed working with people on this platform or some of your clients in general? What typically come up for them?
I think what comes up for people is, how will I be remembered? I know Caroline talks all the time about building a legacy, and this is part of the legacy that she's building. But as we get older, people want to know, what will I be leaving behind? What is the value that the generations after me will see? And to me, if you think about Superwoman in the movie, I think it was played by Linda Carter, and she had the cuffs and the whole thing, and she had the lasso, and we do a lot of things without a real lasso or without those the bracelets, but we have a lot of things as a woman that we have to overcome. I mean, just our body changing, or maybe you're pregnant and then you've had the child, or you're going through menopause, whatever it is, our bodies are always changing. And so we have to have our own lasso and our own bracelets, whatever they might be. So the more I talk to people, they've come up with their own lasso, whatever that means for them, their own bracelets, their own tools, their own tool belt, if you will, of things that help them bring forth the qualities and the best features that they have to help other people. And as an aside, that's another thing that I find here at USA Global TV and Radio. Most of us are heart-centric people. Most of us really care about helping other people. And that's why we do this. It's not like any of us are getting rich from doing this. I mean, if we're discovered, and of course, obviously, it's a legacy that we're leaving. I mean, you can go out on YouTube, and from the first episode when you were here to now, I mean, you can see the evolution, and all the people who have watched. We don't know who they are per se, but we know people are watching. We know more people are watching. And so I feel like we're able to be super women in that we're touching so many hearts, whether they're hearts that we actually have touched, that we know and see, or they're the collective out there in the universe that we don't even know who they are or the impact that we're having. So I feel like that's what we're all leaving here on this platform.
I absolutely love that. And the heart-centeredness, thank you for bringing that back into our space too, because yes, I think, Dr. JACALYN, I don't know how you typically go about going, oh yeah, well, you will work for the platform and maybe a different platform might be better for somebody else. But you are gathering so many heart-centered people around in this one space. And it's wonderful to work with everybody on this platform and seeing how this heart-centeredness are drawing others in. Because I'm sure that initially you guys watching or listening thought, oh yeah, I just want a little bit of advice potentially, or guidance, or that sounded interesting and I'm gonna delve into it, and just look at this. Now you are here with us today and speaking about things that's heart-centric and human and just showing up as your real you. And isn't that a lot of fun?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. And to your point, I wanted to add another quality, which I think is really important, is when you're Superwoman, I feel like you are someone who is coachable. You are someone who can take feedback. You are someone who can lend a hand to someone else who was where you were. And I know we have people who come forth and they'll say, I want to do something on the platform. And if they're not coachable, it's not happening. If they're not open to elevated listening, it's not happening. If there's someone who's dependent on a script, it's not happening. And that's only because, not that they might not be a good fit, but they're not a good fit here for what we're doing. So I feel like each and every one of us on this platform is a superhuman, meaning that we really put other people at the forefront of what it is that we're doing. We want to be leaving quality education and sharing our experience to help, even if it's just one person. I know that's what you're all about too.
Yeah. And I love the fact that we don't have a script.
Takes a lot of the pressure off, doesn't it?
It does. And it's so much more fun because I literally also don't know what's going to come out of my mouth.
So I don't know what I'm going to ask. I have no idea where the conversation is going to go. But I do know from when I was in corporate that I might have a PowerPoint that's 65 slides, and the pressure to go through every single slide. And you're thinking, why are they asking questions? I have slides. I got to get through the slides. And when you throw all that out the wind, you really are just spending your time listening. And that's where the real gems of information, that's where human connection really takes place, is when you are open and listening and not focused on an agenda or a script. And so for those just joining who don't know, we don't have a script. Mariska has absolutely no idea what I'm going to ask her. I don't even know I have no idea what I'm going to say next. I don't know what she's going to say. So we have to follow each other to make sure we're paying attention, because there's no specific outcome that we are looking for. So we do have a topic today, and we're talking about the topic. That doesn't mean that we're going to nail every single point of that topic, because we might go off topic while we're talking about Superwoman, because there's other aspects of Superwoman that we're exploring. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did. It reminds me of the red truck experiment I did with one of my friends the other day, speaking of Superwoman and going off script. So if you think about a red truck, Dr. JACALYN, what do you think about next? So what is a red truck connected to for you?
Fire.
Fire. Okay, so like a fire engine?
A fire engine. Do you have red fire engines in Australia?
Good question. I think so. I think they're red with yellow stripes or something. So when I spoke to my friend connected a red truck to a moving truck.
Oh,
interesting, right? So it's very different. So when you think about a fire engine, what's your next thought?
Somebody's in trouble. Get out of the way. Let the fire truck go through. Pull over on the side of the road so they can get through to save someone's life.
Okay, so there's some urgency, some emergency potentially happening. They need some action and speed. So because my friend thought about a moving truck, to them, the next thing was about moving, right? And then we went into a whole conversation about what was linked to all of that. So when you personally think about a red truck, might be a moving truck, might be a fire truck, might be something quite different, might be a toy truck. I don't know, maybe you have children with little red trucks around and you think, oh, toy truck, and then you think knights walking around not seeing said truck and falling over it and having a sore toe. So you see how they can be very differently connected to things. And that's what I love about our conversations, Dr. JACALYN, because when we say Superwoman, I might think about one thing and you come up with totally different things, and then we blend it into something quite new.
Absolutely. I love it. I do want to say hello to someone I saw. Dr. Kimberly is with us. Hello. So nice to have you. She has her own platform. She's doing a great job out there helping people all over the world. Thank you for dropping in to see us today. We appreciate you. So, Mariska, I can't even believe it, but we are already out of time. Can you? 38 minutes
we
in.
had so much fun.
It just flows. So that's what I'd like to leave people with also. Superwoman can be anything that you want it to be, whatever resonates with you. To me, it's finding that inner peace. It's setting boundaries. It's being open to feedback. It's leaving a legacy that I hope will help someone else somewhere in the world. Mariska, how can you close out what Superwoman is to you after our discussion today?
So Superwoman for me is being my whole me, and that includes having fun along the way. I really do enjoy having fun. And I hope that that is also something that you can do. Not necessarily the having fun. Well, of course, yes, if you can have fun, go forth and have fun. And also be the full you. Bring all of you to all the spaces and be your own superwoman, man, person. Doesn't really matter how you define yourself, but be your own superness, because you are the only one that can bring that to this planet, and we need it. We need it. So bring more of that so that we can also be encouraged to bring more of ourselves, and we will bring more of that to the platform too. And that is what I would leave you guys with within our topic today.
Thank you so much, Mariska. It's been an absolute pleasure. I want to say thank you to E360 TV for streaming this across all of your platforms. And again, thank you to all of you out there who helped us cross over 101,000 subscribers on Saturday, just on our one platform. I think right now we're streaming to 10 platforms, plus the distributors who are distributing to other platforms. So it really has exploded, and we couldn't do it if it weren't for you out there and for those of you on the team. Mariska, what's the best way for people to reach you? We're going to pull up your website and also your LinkedIn. But for people who are listening on a podcast platform only, they can't see the screen. If you can enlighten them as much as possible what we're looking at when we get to your website right now. So your website's journey2discover.com. What can people find here?
So what they can find here is different elements of services. There's also a whole bunch of resources around, especially around the leadership space. So this is mostly within the leadership space. And then I'm also at the moment doing some systemic coaching. So I still need to update my website to include all of that work in that as well. We work with teams, so whole intact teams, as well as the leader, to help them create bigger and better value for themselves as well as the stakeholders within their system. So thinking about that, you can also find my contact me form on my website. Alternatively, you can always email me, which is mariska@journey2discover.com. Or you can also find me on LinkedIn, as Dr. JACALYN mentioned. So on LinkedIn, I do think that they fixed my surname, and I am now actually Mariska du Preez with the full surname instead of just the D, which they had. So wonderful. Thank you very much, LinkedIn, for fixing that. And you can reach me there as well and message me, private message, and we can start our conversation and see how the both of us can partner in order to level up your leadership and create more value within your space, and who knows, even leave a whopping legacy in the process.
Thank you so much, my dear friend. I really appreciate you. And I hope that since you're already in Tuesday and it's already April the 1st, I hope there's some great things that are happening. So as we come into Tuesday tomorrow, we can have the same experience. You can find Mariska here on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. What time is that there in Australia?
So for us at the moment, because we haven't quite done our time change yet, it is 10 a.m. in the morning on a Tuesday. And once we do our time change, which is coming up this weekend, it would be 9 a.m. in the mornings for me. So nice and early. You can find me right here on USA Global TV on a Tuesday, of course, for us.
And Mariska is also one of our expert presenters on Talking Heads. You've been a Talking Head expert for, it's got to be 4 years or 3.5 years now. So your Talking Heads, you have your own playlist over on our YouTube channels, which are USA Global TV and Radio, and also Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. Your next Talking Heads episode is coming up when?
So the next one is coming up on next week, Thursday, in the US time zone. So it is 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Or alternatively, if you want to be up nice and early in the morning, like me, it will be on Friday morning at, I think it's 7:30 my time. Yes, because we have done the time change already at that stage. So it will be 7:30 next week, the 11th on Friday. For the US, it will be on Thursday, the 10th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And then we will be discussing a little bit more around leadership and looking at psychological safety and trust and all those lovely things that we are not always too sure how to invite people into it, and seeing how all of that works.
Thank you, Mariska. And for those who are not aware, talking heads are our elites, our top presenters with the most amount of experience and really the foremost presentation skills. So Mariska, congratulations for 4 years as the talking head expert presenter. Also, I want to mention you're an author. You and I have co-written some books together in the Lady Ella book series. It seems like a long time ago. And the real Lady Ella is actually 3.5 right now and has a brother named Jack who's already 1. So,
wow.
So a lot has happened since we started with our first book, but yeah, so we've got to go. We have our next show coming up with Justin Merigliani. It's You as a Whole, Body, Mind, and Soul. And let us just say thank you again to our friends at E360 TV for distributing this to all of your platforms. And thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. Please go to our YouTube channels and subscribe, USA Global TV and Radio, and also Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. All right, we're signing off now. We're going to go over to our sponsors. We're going to start off with Steve Klein Art. Let's take a look, and we'll see y'all soon. Bye for now. USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Steve Klein Art at steveklein.art.
My name is Steve Klein, born Manchester, England, 1953. My quest in my lifetime is to create artwork from my soul and the deepness within my wildest dreams and fantasies. In 2012, my heart stopped when I was given too much anesthetic for a minor knee operation, and this near-death experience took me to another multi-dimensional world, an out-of-body experience, and I was given the gift of being blessed by an overwhelming, burning passion to become, for the very first time in my life, an artist with an eternal, passionate desire to bring my art, which I've named multi-dimensional, subliminal, freeform art, to the world, as only 3% recover from what I experienced, and now in my golden years want to release my cosmic, vital energy through my art to allow people to be a part of my cosmic dance.
To learn more, email roccogoodwine@gmail.com. For VIP pricing, mention USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting. We're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.